what's good? This is your boy Skater Claus, aka Mark, aka Robert James Winterborn, aka Big MC, aka a lot of things. I'm coming at you with my third video in a series about hip hop. The last video I talked about using changes in voice, and then vocal inflection, and also in using characters, and how that's an important tool to use in hip hop. And at the end of the last video, as I mentioned, I wanted to do another video that was more about like people's voice, just their natural voice, the delivery, and then lyricism, and how all three of these things can be different factors in what makes you, a dope rapper. And then highlight like how I feel these different factors are beneficial for different rappers, and what I like about different rappers and how they use these tactics. Also, if you watched the last video, if you didn't, check it out. Like I said, it's about kind of just using different voices, but I want to do tie-ins. I want to like tie these videos together. So there's going to be two artist tie-ins to this. And again, this video is going to be somewhat similar to the last one in the sense that we're talking about voice and delivery. So let's get started. And again, I want to really point out that the artists that I highlight in any of my videos, I think are absolutely dope. I love them, and I don't want to seem like I'm criticizing them. I'm just trying to point out how different rappers have different skills and make it work. So we're going to start out by playing a couple songs from Jizza, and he's one of the tie-ins. I played his music at the end of the last video. And what I like about him is his lyricism. He's one of the best lyricists of all time. Like I said in the last video, he's at least in my top 5. But at the same time, he doesn't really switch up his vocal delivery that much. It's pretty much the same throughout most of his music. And so I just want to play a couple songs off of the classic album Liquid Swords. Liquid Swords came out in November 95. An absolute classic. It's one of the best hip-hop albums of all time, widely regarded as one. And I know there's been people who've come out, like Barack Obama and Chris Rock as well, who have said that they thought this was one of the best albums of all time. And again, I don't remember, but I think it might have gotten a 5 mics in the source. So the first track I'm going to play by the Jizza off Liquid Swords is the title track, Liquid Swords. It's the first track. And this is like supposed to be the most hype track, or at least in my opinion it is. Like the beat's mad hype. So just kind of listen how he raps on it, and then we're going to compare it to another song that's a little different. So here we go, Liquid Swords.
That was the night everything changed.
Sometimes you gotta flash some facts. You niggas don't know where this shit started. Y'all know where it came from. I'm saying we're gonna take y'all back to the source. Do knowledge. Yo, when the MCs came to live out their names and to perform, some had to snort cocaine to act insane. With the poor heat rocket on down on the mental plane. The spark the brain with the building to be born. Yo, where's up with the track? The what? Fake niggas get blitzed and mic fights and swing swords and cut clown. Shit is too swift to bite and record and write it down. I float like the blood on a murder scene, like a syringe on some wild out shit to insert a vein. But it was your art shop, stolen art, catch a swollen heart from not rolling smart. I put bad pressure on phony whack rhymes and get hurt. Shit's played like zodiac signs and sweatshirt. That's minimum and feminine like sandals. My minimum table stacks the first on a gamble. Energy is felt once the chord to death with the impact of roundhouse kicks from black belts that attack. The white bones like cyclones or typhoons. I represent from midnight to high noon. I don't waste ink, nigga. I think I drop megaton bombs more faster than you blink. Cause rhyme thoughts travel at a tremendous speed through clouds of smoke of natural blends of weed. Only under one circumstance, as if I'm blunted, turn that shit up. My clan in the front wanted.
Alright, so that's just the beginning of Liquid Swords, and again, it's a really hype song. I love it, it's great. But again, I like the Jizza's voice a lot. I think vocally he's good, but he doesn't really change his vocal delivery very much. It's a little bit laid back, and to me, on this song, I would probably prefer that he was a little bit more intense with his delivery. Um, maybe even more like shouting, because I mean, this is like the beat where you jump up and down to it. Dun 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 dun. So I'm gonna play another song, which is "Cold World," which is a much more somber song than Liquid Swords. So it's a little bit more like low key. Um, it's cold world. It's about a cold world. So I want you to kind of listen to how he raps on this track as well. And in general, it's pretty much the exact same delivery, even though Liquid Swords is a very hype song, and this one's more of like a somber song. So take a listen.
It was the night before New Year's, and all through the fucking projects, not a handgun was silent, not even a tech. Outsiders were stuck, but enemies were put fear, blasted on the spot before the pigs were there. Hoods, robbers, snipers, new in sight. Fuck blue and white, they escaped before them flashed the fucking lights. Gunshots shatter first floor window panes. Shells hit the ground and blood stained the dice game. Weather broke calisthenic, any style you said it. Beat niggas toothless, physically cut up like gooses. But with iron on the side, thugs took no excuses. Therefore, your 52 hand blocks is useless. Links were snatched off necks, scars on throats. Jackets took after bullet rips through coats against those who felt the cold from the steel. Made them fold and squill once the metal hit the temple of his grill. Construction worker who was caught for his bomber. No time to swing the hammer that was hanging from his farmers. In his bug, how some niggas catch slugs and pockets dug from everything except check stubs and it dug.
Alright, so that's Cold World. And as you can kind of hear, hopefully you heard it, like maybe there's a little bit less energy and hype in it than how he delivers the lyrics in Liquid Swords. But to me, they're very similar and they're very different songs. Now, I don't want to, again, detract because this is one of my favorite albums of all time. But it's just an example of someone who kind of always delivers in a similar way and doesn't use any very many various techniques of how to kind of change up your vocal style and your delivery in order to try and kind of match the tone of the beat. But again, he can get away with it because he's one of the dopest lyricists of all time. And then, I mean, he also has the RZA on production. And I mean, I'm biased. I mean, all of these videos have to do with my opinions. But I love the RZA's production. I love that old school kind of grimy boom bap type of production. So, I mean, I love this. But, again, even though it's dope and the beat's aggressive, like, I would say he's kind of more of a laid back in his delivery kind of MC. And so now we're going to go into something that I think is a complete contrast. So, again, like, usually in these videos, the bulk of the video goes to one artist. And the artist that I'm kind of highlighting in this is MOP. And I love MOP. They're street hop. They're, old school stick up boys from New York, from Brownsville, specifically. And they're the closest thing to like punk rock that I've ever seen in hip hop as far as I'm concerned. Seeing them live is more, even though the music is totally hip hop, it's more like going to a punk rock show than it is going to a hip hop show. They just bring the energy in their recorded music and they bring it on stage. I mean, they're just insane and I like them. And I will say honestly, I don't think they're the greatest lyricists. They're not like, people who are out there like kind of pushing the boundaries of innovation with lyricism. It's just kind of like street music. But at the same time, this is an example of where, with the GZA, the lyricism beats over the delivery. Here, the delivery beats, the fact that they're maybe not the best lyricists. So we're going to listen to a few clips of tracks right now. And the first one is their most well-known song, Annie Up. And this is probably one of the most hype hip-hop songs of all time. This song is just like, insane. And I mean, it's one of those things where when I saw him live, like people were like moshing to this song and stuff. That's the kind of vibe it has. So let's listen to a clip of Annie Up and just listen to their vocal delivery and how it's more like a shouting, and it's just aggressive. They're not passive, they're aggressive. So check it out.
What you want? We stay feeling fools. Fool what you want? Your life for your Jews. The rules. Next thing, respect mine. We Brooklyn, yeah. Brownsville, home of the brave. Put in work in the street like a slave. Keep a rugged dress code. Always in your stress mode. That shit will send you to your grave. So, you think I don't know that? Nigga, hold on. Nigga, hold on. Nigga, hold on. From the street, cousin, you know the drill. I'm 999 flies short of a mill.
I love that line. I'm 999 thou short of a mill. But yeah, as you can see, like their delivery is just aggressive. They're like shouting. It's like hardcore. It's like punk rock, you know? And the beat, I mean, and they're matching the beat. And that's another thing that I want to talk about and I'm going to move into. But I will say, like, that song, I mean, it's absolute banger, one of my favorites of all time. Again, they're not the greatest lyricists. It's pretty standard stuff. The rhyme format's pretty standard. But it's less about that and more about the delivery. And when you see them live, it's just infectious. You can't not get into it. But also what I want to talk about too is how they can kind of switch up their delivery as far as the aggression, depending on the beat and kind of the theme of the song. So this is a song, Downtown Swingers. It's an interesting song because they actually have Downtown Swingers as a theme where they have several different versions for different years. So this is Downtown Swingers 96. And I will also say this is the song that I use to calibrate my sound system's subwoofer. It sounds really good. I apologize because it's not on my sound system. I found that the sound works better in these videos if I play it on my computer with my phone sitting on the computer. But anyway, here's Downtown Swingers. And just try and listen to see how, like, you know, the delivery is similar, but it's still less aggressive.
Hey yo, what up, sport? Guess who's back on the scene? Your human being cannon with the infrared beam. Before the song move on, I'm letting you know I'm still in the field and I'm still letting it go. So yo, cruise with your official rap dude. Got the Genevieve saying, who the fuck is that dude? The family is MOB, the world's famous. D-A-N-C-E, you sent me shooting the swift. Never the game, cause game is partially gift but partially lame. Bringing back hardcore raps to the atmosphere. Me and my man making hits with Premier. You faggots ain't doing it right, so here's the corporate rule from the fire and sword. Which one your niggas stripes? I'm fixing the breeze, but please believe when you come right. My niggas are tight, downtown swinger. I'm international, bell ringing, international, downtown swinging. I'm international, bell ringing, international, downtown swinging, Brooklyn.
Alright, so I'm going to stop it there, but as you can see, so the delivery is similar. It's not like they change it up that much, but in Annie Up, they're more like shouting. It's more like, Annie Up, you know, whereas this, the beat is more bouncy, you know, bassy, and it's just a little bit more laid back. So the point I'm trying to make is that there's some people who they pretty much deliver their rhymes the same way every time, regardless of the beat. And then there's some groups that can kind of change it up and change their delivery based on what the beat is. And not only that, like just the delivery itself, regardless of whether they change it up based on the beat, makes a big difference. So I'm gonna play another track, and I'm going a little off script here because I'm gonna switch up the order. Where I want to talk about voice, because so MOP, like I said, they're from Brownsville, Brooklyn. It's two guys. One of them Fizzy Womack. The other one is Billy Danz, and both of them I love their voices. But Billy Danz, if I had to say who has my favorite just voice, just as far as whose voice I like the most in hip hop, it's Billy Danz. And so I want to go into a track, and it's not necessarily like an MOP track. It's off an album called Black Rock, which is where the members of the Black Keys produced, like they did the music for a hip hop album, and they got a bunch of different hip hop artists to perform on it. So I'm gonna play this, and it's just honestly, I knew MOP back in the day, but then I heard about this album, I downloaded it, and then I heard this verse, and it got me back into MOP, because I was like, honestly, Billy Danz has my favorite voice in hip hop. And I mean, it's subjective. It might not be your favorite voice, but I'm just saying, for my taste, Billy Danz has the best voice. It's a little bit gritty, it's a little bit grimy, but just take a listen. This is a verse I love. And it's a little bit more aggressive, which is why I switched up the order, because I'm gonna go to one more MOP track afterwards. It's a little less aggressive, so take a listen.
Yo, I'm from the hellhole, the total opposite of Melrose. It's where the homies get the money through the steel doors. If you don't know me, I suggest you ask your kinfolk. Tell them the man here, Billy Danz here, Black Keys here, Mo B's here. You say it's poppin', if it's rockin', listen, we there. Come on, be clear, whatever you do to me, you can never ruin me. I'm good, I flooded the hood like AC. I'm modest, so you ain't really gotta praise me. I'm the artist that's ghettoly known as OG. With the with forever kick, you can never keep. Don't know.
Alright, so that was Black Rock, What You Do to Me, featuring Billy Danz. It also has Jim Jones in it. It's a great track. That album's really great. Check it out. But again, that was just about voice. Like, I just like his voice. And there's some people who can really rap great, but I don't like their voice. It's not like they did anything wrong. It's just, that's how it is. Like, I just don't like how they sound. So, it's something you gotta kind of consider. So I'm going to go back to one more MOP track, and this one again is one, there's kind of a hard beat, but I feel that they're a little bit more relaxed with their delivery, like versus Annie Up or the song we just heard where Billy Danz was pretty aggressive, but the beat's really hard, and I almost feel like they're kind of letting the beat be the aggressive part, and they're this is MOP, so everything they do, like, there's some, like, hard aggression to it, but I feel they dialed it back, which is cool, because I think it's a good contrast, and they kind of, like, let the beat speak for, that part of their style. So let's listen to this. This is Get Yours off of the album Sparta, which was produced solely by the Snow Goons, which is a really cool production group. So here we go.
Your beat DJ, everything he plays, it's all punk shit. Tell him to bump this. That old gorilla in the trunk shit. Yo, I'm a chip off the old block. I'm all I got. Control. I call it shot. Control. You call cop. Them boys twat. When it's gonna stop? Come on, nigga, you a warlock. Go now. You ain't a real killer. You just talk a lot about your coke spot. About your dope spot. About picking up bricks from the boat guy. About your bulletproof whips like the Pope guy. Get clipped on your own block. You hit a roadblock. It's like Fort Knox. This is Brownsville, homie, keep them both cops. And we ain't worry, legendary, mean it won't stop. It won't stop. We flew it on the blacktop. And 1545, still a backdrop. Been there, done that. So whatever you got, lock, run that. Or get your snapshot, son, back up. And they say New York City.
Alright, so that's just a little bit of, like I said, Get Yours. And again, like, they're not shouting like they are in Annie Up, but the beat is hard. So I just want to show that. And, like, just shout outs to MOP. So I'm going to say it right now. One of the things that they do really well is they will pass off who's rapping in a verse between each other sometimes. Like, typically, you know, someone takes a verse, someone else takes a verse, right? So, you know, there's some groups, though, where they kind of seamlessly pass off the rhymes verse, but in between the verse, in between the bar. And MOP does it good, and I just think it's because they've been working together so long and they're so tight. But this is, you know, spoiler alert, this is the topic of the next video, is groups that don't stick to the verse chorus, switch off verse chorus, like, formula, and will actually, you know, switch off who is rapping, not only, like, you know, during a single verse, but also, like, in a bar. And it's difficult to do, so we'll get to that next video. So I want to go back to someone who I feel is kind of more similar to the Jizza, who, again, I absolutely love, but who kind of delivers all of his stuff in a similar way and doesn't really change up his vocal styling that much. And that is Earl Sweatshirt. I think he's absolutely fantastic. But again, he kind of has more of a deadpan style, I'd say, and is kind of really consistent with how he delivers stuff, regardless of kind of what the subject matter or what the beat is. So let's listen first. This is Chum. And it's kind of a more, I don't know, emotional song, or kind of a little more somber or serious. It's not just a banger. So let's listen to this and just listen to, like, how he delivers his lines.
Something sinister to it. Pendulum swinging slow, a degenerate moving through the city with criminal stealth. Welcome to enemy turf, harder than immigrants work. Golf is stitched into my shirt. Get up off the pavement, brush the dirt up off my psyche. It's probably been 12 years since my father left. I left my father less. And I just used to say I hate him in dishonest jest. When honestly I miss this nigga like when I was 6. And every time I got the chance to say it, I would swallow it. 16, I'm hollow and tolerant. Skip shots to storm that whole bottle. I show you a role model. Drunk pissing on somebody's front lawn, trying to figure out how and when the fuck I miss moderate. Mama often was offering peace, offering stink. Weeds cough, scoffing, and he's off again. Searching for a big brother, Tyler was that. And plus he like how I rap. The blunt and mice, the trap.
Alright, so I'm going to stop it there, but as you can see, so, like, this is, you know, a somber song. I mean, he starts off talking about how his father left, and I love his delivery. Again, I think he's one of those more unconventional guys where he's more like Afro, who I've talked about in the last two videos. I love how he delivers his lines, and you know, he'll rhyme over the bar and all those other things that I've talked about. But you know, this is a really somber song, and you can kind of hear how he's delivering stuff, and his lyricism is amazing. Like, he's one of the top of the game. But let's listen to this song right here, which is, you know, more of like a banger. Again, like, this is supposed to be a banger. And in my opinion, like, you know, the lyricism is amazing. It's great, but he still delivers it basically in the same kind of vocal style as he does with Chum. So he's not really changing up his vocalization based on, like, the beat or the, I don't know, I guess, like, the tone of the song. So let's listen. Whoa.
Grab mittens who have to spit blizzard. It's actually flick cigarette cigarette ash. Shit, bitch, niggas harassment. 8 nickels a hash, delay, quicken and dash. The St. Nicholas pad to taste venison. Still in the business of smacking up little rappers with rackets. You play tennis with hated for bank, lifting and spraying and hide away in the shade of his maimed innocence. Suitcase in it with haze and fillets sentences. Advanced apathy smashing a man, cameras up, tan khakis and antagonist Dan dappered up. Vagabond, had a sense of Padawan, rapping hot as fucking cattle brands, wearing flannel thongs. Grab a ball, my man, some food, beer, tag along, get a nice spanking. New Sears catalog, set them nettle critics to the bezel, stop dead and wrong, get them higher than the pitch of metal tea kettle songs.
Alright, so yeah, that was Whoa. And as you can see, like, it's a little bit more energetic, but in general, I'd say it's still got the same kind of laid-back delivery as Chum, which, I mean, they're just very different songs. And so just real quick, let's go to the start of another song called Hive that he does. And I'm just going to play a little bit of it, but again, I'm just trying to kind of, like, emphasize this point.
Promise hair Ron, I put my fist up after I get my dick sucked. Quick buck, maybe a gold chain. With that fucking flow, the sister so belittles men. They tentatively tend to turn and go. And I am finished stone cold. Hardly fucking with these niggas. Nigga, listen, the description doesn't fit it.
Yeah, so that was just a tiny clip, but again, like, so it wasn't the most energetic beat, but, I mean, he's rapping in pretty much the same tone. And, you know, the first line's about, like, talking about getting his dick sucked, which, you know, in my opinion, is a pretty cool thing. And he doesn't, like, put any, it doesn't seem like he puts any more energy into it than he does into, like, Chum. So, again, I kind of would use the word deadpan, I guess. But it's not to diminish it, because, again, he and the Jizza are both amazing lyricists. And so they can make, like, they make it work. Like, I love both of their music, like, because they're so innovative with their lyrics, either word choice or, you know, how they deliver it in reference to where the beat is, or both. But the delivery, it's pretty much always the same as far as, like, the tone of voice. They don't switch it up. And so we kind of talked about so far, like, you know, people who have kind of a more deadpan delivery that's the same, and then, you know, MOP, who's got, like, a really aggressive delivery, but will sometimes kind of switch it up based off the beat. So finally, we're going to go back to another tie-in from the last episode, who is Serengeti, who I love. And I talked about him last time because he uses a lot of different vocalizations. He uses a lot of different character. But what I want to do this time is kind of show a few different clips where he is singing in his own personality as just Serengeti. Or, you know, I say singing, but I mean rapping. But, you know, it's kind of blurs the lines. But either way, even with the fact that it's just the same character and he's not really changing the way he talks, the inflection in his voice and kind of like the tone of how he's talking changes based on the beat and the basic kind of emotional tone of the song. So let's get into this. The first one is off of Dennehy, and then this is like more of a bouncy beat, and it's just, you know, even though the subject matter is, like, you know, not necessarily the most uplifting thing, like, he kind of matches the beat with how he raps. So just give a listen to that and think about it, especially as you are going to hear these other songs where it changes. So this is Feeding off of Dennehy by Serengeti.
This conversation's been going on for hours. Keep talking and talking and talking and talking. Have you ever noticed the effect of mind powers? Keep talking and talking and talking and talking. George responds to Osama bin Laden. Keep insisting, 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 insisting. Ah, man, I have so many problems. Keep talking and talking and talking and talking. But keep sniffing. I keep thinking, enough. We had to go through that. Could've slipped enough way to get my Pro Tools back. Man, this bitch has some huge ass cans. So simple, 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 simple. I wanna fuck this bitch with my whole hand. So nasty and nasty and nasty and nasty. Man, I want this chick to give me mad brain. Keep talking and talking and talking and talking. We should lick a chick and run a damn train. So slimy, 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 slimy. The damn sickos. We got sisters. You fuck. We get so off track. Should've got our mind right and got our Pro Tools back.
Alright, so that's Feeding. As you can see, like, his voice, like, it wasn't like the lyrics weren't, like, necessarily positive, but, like, he had, like, a positive inflection in his voice. And he was also, like, bouncy with his voice, like the beat was. So then, now let's go to another track, which is called All Along. And this is more somber. And you can hear that it's more somber in his voice. This is a song with MF Grimm off this album Gasoline Rainbows. And I also have to note that there's a sample in this that's from one of my favorite Smashing Pumpkins songs of all time. I'm not going to tell you the song because it's an Easter egg. I want you to figure out what it is. So, anyway, take a listen. And just listen to how his voice is different in this to kind of accommodate the tone of the theme and the beat.
I used to get my shit cut every week till I turned into a total freak, like totally weak and head down. Dude that always thought about rap, scratch papers and black pens, hardly no ends, but the same job, living in freezing cold garage, talk to the kings and the gods. Come on, dog, just help me out of this fog, but I don't give a shit. Next time it'll be only happiness, like soccer clubs, root beer, flow hugs, unprecedented love, instead of pills to help us at chill. Writing raps is like writing wills, destruction and bill. But how the hell you feel? Slipping on a damn banana peel, fishing for a deal without a reel and no local base. It feel like a waste. Can't smell, see an act and taste. So is this really straight? Moving at a turtle type pace. Forgetting how to spell, forgetting how to gel. Under the witch's spell, dark corner like Gargamel. Under the bomb ship.
So yeah, that's All Along. And maybe I'm crazy, but I think you can just hear the somberness in his voice. It's not as bouncy, it's not as optimistic as how it is in Feeding. Even though, like, Feeding's not necessarily, like, the most positive song either. I mean, the beat's positive, and it's also just kind of, like, satirical. And I think his voice reflects that, whereas this song is just grim, man. This song is, like, about regret, and I feel that you can hear that in his voice. And, maybe I'm off base. But let's listen to one more clip of Serengeti on a different track. This track is called Accommodating. And this track is light. It's not... It's I don't know, like, I almost feel like it's almost like a love letter to a friend of his, and I don't know the backstory, but I feel like they lived together. They were like roommates, and just listen to how his voice is and how it's different. And the song's called Accommodating, and I almost feel like his voice sounds like it's accommodating, and it's totally different. It's just much lighter. It's not hard, it's not soft, it's not somber. It's just very, like, light and agreeable. So let's listen to a little bit of Accommodating.
Hey Tobias, this is Dave. Here's your song, boss. It's called Accommodate. All you do is accommodate. What do you like to do? I wish that I could find joy in accommodating too. Would you like to be a captain? Maybe even be a monster. Turn me into an imposter. Make me more accommodating too. Make me more accommodating too.
I like xylophones.
Laying always on the couches. cleaning up the dishes. Can't appease your simple wishes. Taking medicine from the ditches. You never seem to be pissed off much. Everything seems well enough, so broke your favorite coffee cup. Said to me it's only stuff. Said to me it's only stuff. All you do is accommodate. What do you like to do? I wish that I could find joy in accommodating too. Would you like to be a captain? Maybe even be a monster. Turn you into an imposter. Make you more accommodating too.
So that's a little bit of accommodating. And, you know, I hope you could kind of like point out like the differences in the vocal stylings between the three songs. Again, in the last video, I talked a lot about how Serengeti is great at using different accents and making different characters. But, you know, again, like, he's not the best lyricist. He's not at all. He's not bad. I love his music. But to me, I think he's a better conceptual artist as far as creating characters. And then also, like, using the way he vocalizes his songs to accommodate the beat and the theme and the tone. So that's kind of what I was trying to point out in this video in general. You know, like I said before, the next video, I want to kind of take this theme and move on to a different subject, which is about changing, you know, between different MCs within verses and within bars. And then I also kind of want to give some examples of where people do that, but then they also change up the like tone and, you know, the voice for different reasons, whether it's for, you know, perspective change or you know, just to accommodate the beat. So that's the next video. Listen to Liquid Swords, listen to by the Jizza 95 classic album. Listen to everything by MOP, they're great. Honestly, I like their more recent releases. Sorry, I'm burping because I'm drinking malt liquor. But, you know, all their music is awesome. They're one of those groups where, you know, they only have had success because, like, people were fans. They never had, like, support from the industry, but they, you know, have support from the people. They're a people's band. Listen to Earl Sweatshirt. Earl Sweatshirt is absolutely dope. He's a unique guy. Like, I would kind of put him there with Afro as one of the more modern guys who has a unique style. I like the way he delivers his stuff. And again, we talked about how the delivery, as far as how he says it doesn't vary, but how he delivers his lines in connection to the beat is very unique. And that's going to be another video too, is, you know, the difference between just being unique and being unique as far as how you deliver over the beat. And then Serengeti, like I said last time, listen to all of Serengeti stuff. I'd say start with the album Dennehy and go from there. But yeah, this is your boy Big MC. You know, all the other fucking monikers, you know how it is. But let me know if I got something wrong. Let me know if there's something I missed. Let me know what you think about the video. And holla at your boy. Take it easy. Peace.